Have you noticed that when you truly begin to change, the room around you shifts? People don't always say it out loud. It shows up as a joke that stings a little, a warning disguised as care, a long pause when you share something that matters to you. On the surface, it's nothing. Underneath, it's everything. Your growth presses on the edges of other people's comfort. And comfort rarely gives way without a fight. Your new clarity asks questions their routine can't answer. Your rising standards reflect back what they've settled for. It isn't that they're bad or you're good. It's that transformation has a way of turning up the lights, and bright light makes shadows obvious. Maybe that's where you are now. Thinking differently, moving differently, quietly refusing what you once accepted just to keep the peace. The shift feels lonely sometimes, misunderstood. You look around and wonder, did I outgrow something? Or did I finally grow into myself? No one really explains this part. The price of a strong mind is often the tension of leaving old versions of yourself behind without yet knowing who's waiting on the other side. Strength, real strength, doesn't always look tidy. It doesn't always sound sweet. It can be fierce and soft in the same breath, humble and uncompromising in the same moment. It isn't about dominating anyone else. It's about no longer negotiating your truth away. A lot of motivational noise promises easy steps, quick hacks, instant peace. But most people don't grow in the sunshine. They grow in the weather. It's the confused season, the heavy season, the breaking and remaking season that forges something durable in you. Think back on the last time you changed deeply. Was it when everything lined up? Or was it when life felt like it had knocked the wind out of you? You don't need to glamorize pain to respect it. You only need to admit that challenge has a way of introducing you to parts of yourself you would never meet otherwise. When you stop wishing the path were easier and start choosing to become better, the path changes under your feet. There's a line from a philosopher often quoted not to shock but to awaken. Inside each of us there's a kind of creative chaos. And from that raw, untidy place something brilliant can emerge. It isn't about seeking disorder. It's about not running from the honest work of rearranging your inner world. When you let the hard season teach you, instead of reduce you, you stop being tossed by every wave of opinion. You stop needing permission to be who you already know you are. You become steadier, more rooted, and yes, people will notice. Not everyone will clap. That's okay. Your life is not a popularity contest, it's a fidelity test. Can you stay faithful to the truth you've discovered about yourself even when applause is scarce? At some point the questions get bigger. Who gets to define what your life means? Who holds the pen when the story turns? It's tempting to hand that pen to systems, to trends, to whatever the crowd says is wise today. But the moment you realize no outer voice can carry the weight of your inner calling, something shifts. You stop outsourcing your decisions to approval. You start listening for a quieter authority, the one that speaks in the space between your heartbeat and your breath. That shift is not an act of rebellion for its own sake. It's an act of responsibility. If you want a life you can respect, you must become someone you can respect. Someone who tells the truth, keeps promises, and refuses to shrink just to fit. That responsibility can feel heavy because there's no one left to blame when you're the author. But that same responsibility is liberating too. When you stop waiting to be saved, you discover how much strength was sitting dormant under the weight of waiting. Your energy returns, your sight sharpens, you start creating standards instead of memorizing them. You stop asking, is this allowed? And you start asking, is this aligned? That single change in language rewires the whole nervous system of your decisions. From here, a new kind of person begins to take shape. Not a superhero, not a myth, just a human being who has learned to stand upright in their own life. This person is not allergic to solitude. They use it. They don't need an audience to do what's right. They don't ask crowds for directions to a place those crowds have never been. They are not against people. They are just not dependent on them for identity. Their compass is internal, And because of that, the weather outside can change 100 times a day without knocking them off course. But there's a cost to this kind of living. You will be asked to lay down versions of yourself that once kept you safe. You will outgrow rooms you would be afraid to enter. You will watch certain bonds loosen, not because anyone is evil, but because you're no longer held together by what held you before. Approval-based friendship can't survive purpose-based life. If a connection needs you small in order to feel secure, your growth will feel like betrayal to it. You can love people without living at the mercy of their comfort. You can bless them and keep walking. Solitude is not punishment, it is a workshop. It's where you hear the difference between the world's noise and your soul's voice. It's where you practice telling the truth without dressing it up for applause. It's where you learn to sit with an unanswered question without scrambling for a distraction. Long, quiet hours teach you what short, loud moments never can. You start to recognize patterns, how you self-sabotage when you're close to a breakthrough, how you hide behind busyness when you're scared to be seen, how you make yourself small when a room feels bigger than your history. Solitude will not flatter you, and that's why it's sacred. It will ask for your sincerity. It will give you your power back. From solitude, you return to the world with different eyes. You see how easy it is to confuse consensus with truth. You see how quickly originality gets trimmed to fit last year's trend. You see the subtle pressure to downgrade your standards in the name of belonging. This is not a reason to resent anyone, it's a reason to stay awake. Group thinking isn't evil, it's just often unexamined. And an unexamined life will always pull on the sleeves of a life that's being examined. When your presence disrupts a pattern, that pattern will try to talk you out of your presence. Smile, breathe, stay steady. You're not here to argue with every echo, you're here to build. Building requires tools, not weapons against people, but instruments that carve character. The first tool is attention. Where your attention goes, your reality grows. Guard it, curate it, feed it with a material that makes you more humane, more courageous, more precise. The second tool is language. Speak to yourself like someone you are responsible for. Honest, firm, compassionate, clear. The third tool is standards. Not to perform for others, but to protect the future you are creating. Standards are boundaries with a heartbeat. Alive, adaptable, but non-negotiable in their core. The fourth tool is action. Small, repeated, unglamorous. No post can replace the quiet repetition that builds mastery. The fifth tool is recovery. Rest is not the reward for finishing, it's part of the work of lasting. As you practice, you'll notice how your inner weather changes. The same comment that would have ruined your day now teaches you something about the person who said it. The same setback that would have made you quit now sharpens your strategy. You stop chasing shortcuts and start building foundations. You stop begging rooms to see you and start becoming someone worth seeing. In the mirror first, then everywhere else as a byproduct. Your calm begins to feel like power because it is. It's the power of being anchored to something deeper than circumstance. This kind of calm doesn't come from pretending everything is fine. It comes from telling the truth about what isn't and then doing the work you can do today. It's not denial, it's direction. People may call you detached when you refuse to be dragged by the drama. Let them talk. Detachment from chaos is attachment to clarity. You're not colder, you're clearer. You still care deeply, you've just stopped confusing constant reactivity with love. There will be days when you doubt all of this. Days when the old life calls you by your old name. Days when it would be so easy to step back into a smaller self because smaller feels familiar. On those days, remember what the comfortable version of you cost, the opinions swallowed to keep the peace, the dreams delayed until someday, the energy spent on acceptance instead of excellence. You don't have to be perfect now. You just have to be honest now. Honest about what you want, what you fear, what you're willing to learn. Honesty is momentum. Momentum is mercy. It carries you when motivation fails. And when your honesty reveals a wound, meet it with skill. Healing is not just time passing, it's time used well. Read the book that challenges your assumptions. Reach out for help when your tools aren't enough. Journal until your mind stops spinning. Move your body so your body can move your mind. Pray if you pray. Reflect if you reflect. Sit in silence if words are tired. There is no single right way to come home to yourself, but there are ways that are yours. Find them, practice them, protect them. As you keep going, your life begins to broadcast without you announcing it. People sense the boundary in your kindness. They feel the steadiness in your yes and your no. They may not know what changed. You do. You stopped asking the world for permission to be whole. You stopped bending your shape to match rooms not designed for your future. You stopped performing for a chorus that was never going to sing your song back to you the way you needed to hear it. You started, at last, to live like the person you keep meeting in your quietest moments. There's a beautiful paradox at the heart of this. The more you belong to yourself, the more genuinely you can belong with others, not as a chameleon, but as a contributor. Not out of neediness, but out of overflow. The relationships that survive your growth will ring with a clearer tone, less anxious pleasing, more mutual respect. You'll stop looking for someone to carry what only you can carry. You'll start sharing the weight with people who are carrying their own with care. From here, your presence begins to do its quiet work. You won't have to argue for your values. You'll embody them. You won't have to advertise your vision. You'll build it. You won't have to convince anyone to believe in you. You'll believe in you, and the results will do the convincing for those who are meant to notice. The point isn't to impress the room, it's to impact your days. Impact enough days, and your life becomes the evidence. If you've listened this far, you're already different than you were at the start. Not because the words are magic, but because attention is an act of creation, and you've used yours well. Don't stop here. Don't let this be a feel-good moment that dissolves in the rush of the next notification. Turn it into a quiet decision. Decide what part of your life will get your most honest work next. Decide what habit you'll retire, what boundary you'll raise, what tiny daily action you'll repeat until it remakes you from the inside out. Decide and then move, patiently, persistently, imperfectly, beautifully. I'll leave you with one invitation. Not a performance, not a slogan, an honest gesture. In your own words, in your own way, name one truth you're ready to live by. Say it out loud to yourself, write it down where you'll see it. Keep it simple, keep it real. Maybe it's, I don't have to apologize for growing. Maybe it's, I choose clarity over comfort. Maybe it's, I will be loyal to what I know is right, even when it's hard. Whatever it is, let it be yours. Then let your days prove it. If this message stirred something in you, stay close. There's more to explore, more to unlearn, more to build. Not because you're broken and need fixing, but because you're powerful and ready to be focused. You're not lagging behind. You're simply ahead of your last version. That can be unsettling to others, and even to the parts of you that loved the old normal. That's okay, keep going. The mind you're building, steady, clear, compassionate, unbending in its integrity, is not only strong, it's generous. It refuses to harm and refuses to be harmed by the smallness of fear. It tells the truth and lives it. And that kind of mind? It doesn't shout, it doesn't threaten, it simply stands, fully itself that it invites others to stand too. You're not alone, you're just further along than the echo would prefer, and that is both the challenge and the gift. Walk on,